All right, hello everyone. Today we are going to finish our review for our 7B test where we just have to test on 7.5 and 7.6. So we should have 1 through 6 done. We should just be looking at these 4 problems right here and then one on the next page. All of these are our solving methods, so this is where you will for sure want to have a calculator because it's going to do a lot of the things for you. And because of that, whenever you give me your answers that have a decimal, make sure you are giving me 4 decimal places, okay? Now, all of these, reminder, are just the opposites of each other. So if you start in exponential form, reminder, then you will write it in log form, okay? Or if you start in log form, you will then write it in exponential form. Same thing, reminder, e and natural log, they cancel each other out, okay? That says HN. So natural log and e, they cancel each other out. So those two things you use opposite as well, okay? All right, so on number 7, if we look at this one, we have an exponent, so that tells me I'm going to have to put it into log form. But before we do that, for all of these problems here, you have to make sure your exponent or your e or your natural log or your log, they need to be on its own. So the first thing I notice is I have this 2 out front. The 2 is positive, so that means I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. When we do that, notice there's a negative in front of the 4, so I'm going to have negative 4 to the x equals negative 64. I hope alarm bells are going off because we cannot take the log of a negative number. So to do that, we're going to have to divide each side by negative 1. Okay. When we do that, all of our negatives are going to cancel, and we're just going to left with 4x equals 64. Okay. So I'm in exponential form, so to solve this, I'm going to put it into log form. Reminder, this is our base, this is our regular number, and it always equals your exponent. So I'm going to have log base 4, 64 equals x. Okay. So we can use our power sheet or our calculator, and we're just really asking ourselves 4 to the what gives me 64, and the answer is 3. So 4 to the third gives me 64, so x equals 3 is my answer. Okay, so exponential form, get into log form, make sure our exponent's on its own first. Okay, so now I'm actually going to go down to number 9 because they're kind of the opposites of each other. So this one, number 9, this one's in log form, and so I need to do the opposite. I need to put it into exponential form. Now, as I look at this one, I hope everyone sees that there's parentheses, so that means all of that stuff is together. So my log is on its own. I don't have to get rid of anything first, so we can go straight to exponential. So this is my base, this out here is my exponent, and it's going to equal this x plus 2. So I have 3 to the 5th equals x plus 2. From here, we can use our power sheet or we can use our calculator. 3 to the 5th is going to give us 243 equals x plus 2. From here, I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 2, and x is going to equal 241. Okay. So as you can see, these two problems are just the opposites of each other. Log form, put it in exponential. Exponential, put it into log, and then use your solving skills. Okay. Now, if I look at 8 and 10, they are also opposites of each other. Okay. So number 8 is an e, so to get rid of e, we're going to use the natural log. And so because of this, just like our last problem, I have to make sure my e or my log is on its own. So I'm going to divide by 4 first because we want our e to be on its own. And so now I have e to the 2x equals 5.25. Okay. Now, as I said, to get rid of an e, I'm going to take the natural log of both sides. So I'm going to take the ln of this side and the ln of this side. Here, the natural log and e are going to cancel each other. So I'm going to be left with 2x equals the natural log of 5.25. Okay. Now here's where our calculator is going to come into play. I want you to grab your calculator And we're going to take the natural log of 5.25. So reminder, it's below the log button, so it's down next to the number 7. And you're going to hit natural log of 5.25. You're going to hit enter. And then to solve for x, the next thing you're going to do is divide by 2. And you're going to do that all on your calculator. So natural log of 5.25, hit enter, divide by 2, hit enter. And reminder, we do need 4 decimal places. So we're going to say x equals 0.8291. Okay. All right, so E and natural log, they cancel each other out. Okay. So then if I'm looking at number 10, I see I have a natural log. So to get rid of natural log, I'm going to have to do the E of both sides. But this one, just like number 7 and number 8, I have some extra junk. So we have to get rid of it first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Notice there's a negative again. So I'm going to have negative 6 natural log of x equals 2. We're going to divide by negative 6 and divide by negative 6. Okay. When we do that, all right, sorry everyone. All right, so we're dividing by negative 6 on both sides, and when we do that, I'm actually going to have you guys leave it in fraction form. We do want to reduce it though. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides, and so this is going to become negative 1/3. Okay, so now to get rid of natural log, we're going to E both sides. And I know some people are alarm bells are like, Bayles, we can't take a log of a negative. Well, we're not doing a log, we're doing an E, so that's fine. So I'm going to take E to both sides. Reminder, natural log and E cancel each other. So I'm going to be left with x equals E. Now, to be nice to our calculators, we're going to put this in parentheses, negative 1/3. So you're going to grab your calculator. You're going to hit second, the natural log button, so your LN button, and you're going to take E to the negative 1/3, put parentheses around the negative 1/3, hit enter, and then reminder, I need 4 decimal places. So we're going to have x equals 0.7165. Okay. And there we go. So as you can see, I kind of did these in this order. Every single one of them is just opposites of each other. Log, exponential form, E, and natural log. And make sure your logs and your exponents and your E's and your LNs are on their own before you start doing the canceling process. Okay. All right, the last problem we have, we're going to look at number 11 here. I had people struggle on this when it's this condensing problem. So reminder, when you have problems like this with multiple logs, your first step is to make sure that you only have one log. So notice the logs are on one side and it equals a number. So then we're going to apply these rules here. I'm going to write it over here. So reminder, if we have a plus, it means it's really a multiplying. So it means you're going to take the 2 things that the log are doing and you're going to multiply them. If there's a subtraction, it means you're really going to take these 2 and divide them. Okay, and then we'll do everything that we did on the last page to help us solve. So on this one, I see I have a plus. So what I'm really going to do is I'm going to just bring down one single log. And there's a plus here. So I am going to take 4 and I'm going to times it by the x, or just 4x if you want to write that, equals 2. Okay, so now this should look like the problems we did on the last page, and now we're going to solve it. So I am in log form, so to solve it, I'm going to put it into exponential form. Reminder, if you don't have a base, that automatically means that's 10 down here. So now I'm going to have 10 to the second equals 4x. Okay. In our calculators or off our power sheets, we should know 10 to the second is 100. I'm going to write it up over here, guys. So I'm going to have 100 equals 4x. Our last step will divide, and we should have x equals 25. Okay. So reminder, when you have problems like this with multiple logs, get it down to one single log using these rules here, and then use the same solving skills we did on the other page. All right. That is it. Make sure you're doing your homework to get ready for your test. All right, thank you.